Tell me, what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived. Does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say?
I remember tears streaming down your face when I said I'll never let you go. When all those shadows almost killed your light. I remember you said, don't leave me here alone. But all that's dead and gone and past tonight. Just close your eyes. The sun is going down. You'll be alright. No one can hurt you now. Come morning light, you and I'll be safe and sound.
afternoon, everybody. My name is Ty. I'm one of the pastors here at New Song Church, and on behalf of the pastors and staff here, we just want to welcome you. We're so thankful that you're here to celebrate Timothy Elenbaas' life. Timothy Michael Elenbaas of Linden, Washington, passed away on November 16, 2020 in Ferndale, Washington. Tim was 37 years old and was born in Bellingham, Washington on May 15, 1983, to Melissa Edwards and Richard Elenbaas. A thoughtful, caring son and brother with a strong work ethic, he took pride in his work and did it very well no matter the task. Tim overcame numerous personal obstacles to live a life that brought joy to his family, friends, and coworkers. A talented athlete whose abilities were apparent from the age of 2, Tim was an avid snowboarder and skateboarder and could often be found on Mount Baker all throughout the snow season. Tim was preceded in death by his sister Kimberly Elenbaas and her fiancé Denton Hendricks. He is survived by his parents Richard and Melissa Elenbaas, 2 sisters Lucy Elenbaas and Emily Schaff, 2 nephews Milo and Homer Rouse, and his beloved cat Cornelia, and many other family members and friends. As I was reading this, a couple of things struck out to me. One, that it says that Tim was an avid snowboarder. Now, I spent a little bit of time with the family, and what I heard is that he was the world's best snowboarder. So I think we need to give credit where credit's due here. So that's one. But second, that he lived a life that brought joy. He lived a life that brought joy to his family, his friends, and his coworkers. And so right now, I'd like to invite some of those people that he did bring joy to as we're going to share some stories and some memories and just some thoughts that some family and friends have prepared. So first, I'd like to introduce Haley, Karina, and Hannah, who worked with Timothy at the kitchen. So they were his coworkers, and then we're going to follow with his best friend, Brian, right after that.
Is this on? Hello? Hello? Okay. Hello? There we go. Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm the manager at the catering company that we all worked at, and the assistant dish pit manager under Tim.
Hi, my name's Hannah, the night shift buddy in the kitchen. Tim and I were the night owls.
Hi there, I'm Karina. I'm the assistant manager at the catering company. To Tim, he would tell his family that I was an angel. But his last words to me was, Karina, you're a badass. We are some of his kitchen family. Now let me tell you who Tim was to me. Tim was Smokey the Dragon. He would occasionally explain, because I smoke and I'm a dragon, obviously. He would, funny story, actually, Tim didn't care for me much when I first met him. He would often tell me, I think it's time for you to go home now, Karina. He always had a tough outer image, but once he got to know you, he was cool with you. Tim loved to show me and tell me about the various precious stones, gems, and crystals he would carry in his pocket. They each had a purpose and a meaning. Tim would randomly put his headphones on me and so I could hear his new favorite song, and then proceed to tell me about his new favorite female vocalist crush at that time. I once agreed Madonna is great, so he created me a mixed CD of his favorite Madonna songs. Let me tell you, it's a great CD. Tim was an organic coffee, beer, and food aficionado, a goofball, a flirt, the dish pit master, and a staple to our kitchen family.
To me, Tim was my nighttime jam man. We would listen to music, swap stories, talk about the meaning of names, and of course, work. He was usually the highlight of my nights.
To me, Tim is the most thorough, immaculate, Madonna-loving, Sabbath-honoring, predictably unpredictable dishwasher and friend. Tim was always watching out for me, telling me ways that I could be cooler than I am. One thing I can say about Tim is he always stands up for his girls. And I don't mean us, but but I mean Madonna.
Taylor Swift.
And of course, Avril Lavigne.
Working nights together, I became Tim's confidant, which sometimes included me being his messenger. Tim requested that I tell Haley to text him a little nicer and to not use emojis anymore.
Of course, they seemed mean. I wasn't allowed to use my smiley faces anymore. You see, the way the catering kitchen works is we make a bunch of dishes all day while we're prepping for events, and then Tim would come in at night and wash them. So back to the emojis. I was cut off, and that's when the star system was born. He requested that I only communicate with him with a 1 to 5 scale on how many dishes we had left. And 1 star being, don't waste my time, I'm not coming in, to 5 stars, like get here now, we're out of cutting boards and knives, it's very important you're here.
No one actually likes doing the dishes, right? Tim is definitely the exception. Now that I have been doing the dishes for a little while, I dislike doing them just a little less. My family is actually in disbelief that I take pride in doing them now. I am grateful for learning from the dish pit master. Of course, strictly just from watching how he did them and his bragging, because nobody was allowed near or to touch his dishes.
Tim and I work nights together at the kitchen. Let me tell you, the kitchen is about 5,000 square feet with a lot of closets and hiding spaces. And I never knew what time Tim was coming in. So after multiple times of scaring each other, we decided to make a wave signal where we would wave real big at each other. Here! Unless Tim was not in the mood. In which case, he would stand about 3 feet away from me, staring in silence, and when I would eventually notice, there would always be a lot of screaming and me threatening to stab him. I always have a knife next to me for the food prep and protection.
We're gonna leave you with some famous Tim quotes. My favorite being, how many dishes could a dishwasher wash if a dishwasher could wash dishes?
And how many inches of dishes would you say we got in the last 72 hours?
I'll be there like a frisbee golf. That's shadowing a midnight moonlarker. That's all I got, 'cause I'm sick.
We truly love Tim and will forever be missing a piece of our kitchen family. You will forever be in our hearts, Timothy Michael Elenbaas, a.k.a. Timsky.
Little Star,
Starboy
Michael.
and the Dragon Slayer.
Since the word of Tim's disappearance first started to spread, the stories of him have obviously been rolling in. Nearly everyone that I know either also knew Tim or had at least met him, and every single one of them was quick to say great things about him or remind me of some amazing memory with him. I began to notice a trend in the things people would say about him, depending on when they met him or how they knew him. All the parents from our friend group liked to say things like, he was a gentle soul, or he was always so nice and kind, because when he'd go to a friend's parents' house, he was calm and polite and left the parents thinking that that was his personality. But if you knew Tim from his early 20s, you might remember how hard he could party, to the point where he actually got a bicycle helmet and called it his drinking helmet. Because too often he woke up with some new injury from falling down or deliberately full commit jumping into a blackberry bush. Luckily for Tim and his family as well, that was a pretty short period of his life, and he calmed down on the partying front. But he never did calm down his snowboarding. Long before I even knew how to stand on a skateboard, Tim was already an amazing skateboarder and snowboarder. Before I ever knew who he was, I would sometimes see him out of the bus window, skating around Linden, and be blown away and jealous by the tricks he was doing. Years later, After becoming his skateboard buddy, he finally invited me to snowboard with him, and it was the exact same thing all over again on the mountain. I was blown away by the level of skill he had on a snowboard. He even had the nickname Tim 80 for a while because he was working on landing a 1080-degree spin, which at that time was an Olympic-level trick. Unfortunately for all of us, Tim didn't like to be filmed on his snowboard. He always said it wasn't organic that way. So the very few clips we have of him snowboarding were only when he didn't realize the camera was on. Nothing even close to depicting his real skill level. But if you've gone snowboarding with Tim in the past 10 years, you know what I'm talking about. After Tim's first encounter with the mental health hospital, he began to quirk on certain things. So you may have known Tim when he was very into organic and local foods only. He even denied my homemade salsa once because I'd put a can of tomatoes into it. Shortly after that, he went on a Big Mac kick and insisted that he felt his best when he ate nothing but Big Macs. No matter when or which Tim you knew, the general consensus is a resounding agreement that he was a great person. Everyone who has met Tim and been lucky enough to spend actual time with him agrees that he was an amazing and unique person. He was always very generous, kind-hearted, and caring. I've been hanging out with Tim for over 20 years now, so I've seen many of his phases. But one consistent fact was that he loved his family. He always talked about how much he enjoyed visiting his grandma and helping her with her yard work, or how he was stoked that his parents were so cool and understanding about things. His birthday party of choice was always a barbecue and croquet in the backyard, so that his parents and sisters could join also. He would even sometimes skip on skate sessions to watch something with his parents, even though he claimed not to be interested in the game or the show that they were watching. Whether that part was true or not, he didn't hide the fact that he actually really wanted to spend time with them. Whichever Tim you knew, or maybe you were lucky enough to know him all along, you can't argue the fact that he was an amazing and talented human with an energy that you will never find anywhere else. One time, Tim and I were riding Baker on opening day, and we were rolling through a zone that no one else had been into yet, when Tim cut left into some trees to take a leak. I rode down another 50 yards to sit and wait for him. After a while, I realized that he must have already finished and headed down without me seeing him somehow. As I began to descend out of the zone we were in, I noticed that no other tracks were coming out of the area he had entered, and immediately felt something was wrong. I popped my board off and hiked back up my trail to the point where we had separated. Then I followed his track into the trees. I could clearly see the line from his board leading into a group of very small trees, but it had a definite end. As I got closer to the end of the track, the snow began to act weird. It was a cold, light snow, and the small trees were creating air cavities between the branch layers, so when weight hit them, they would collapse the snow inward. When I got to the end of his track, I started digging while hanging on to the closest treetop to keep from getting pulled into the snow cavity also. Sure enough, after digging a few feet down, I found the bottom of Tim's board, and then proceeded to dig deeper until I could grab his hand and pull him up to the surface. We had a pretty intense moment, talking of how important your riding buddies are in situations like that, and then continued on with a great day of snowboarding. I wish so hard that Tim could have left a track for us to follow this time too, so that someone could grab his hand and pull him up. But that's just not how it worked out. Physically, he did not leave a definitive line in the snow leading to where we could find him, but he definitely left a track right through our lives. We can see now that his track on this earth has ended, but that's just the track that we can see. Tim is just a few digs away, waiting on the other side of the snow. Tim has moved up to the next level, but I know when I see him next time, it's going to be just like when I first saw him skate and snowboard. I'll be blown away by how well he's doing it and do my best to catch up. I love you, Tim, and I miss you already. We will be driving your Subaru towards our next adventure soon enough, but this time I get to pick the music. Until then, make some good turns for me.
Thank all four of you for just an amazing description of my son. Some of us have been spending a lot of time together recently. That has produced quite a few epiphanies. We've managed to allow the Holy Spirit to show us things about ourselves and others that have surprised us. This is just one. I would have done pretty much anything for my son. I discovered that many of you would have as well. How many here have ever been scolded by Tim? Hey, not just me. I call these Tim Beatitudes. Count yourselves fortunate to have received a Tim reproof. He'd routinely say, Dad, you're watching too much TV. Mom, you're reading the wrong books. The only book I read is the Bible. This song was pressed on my heart, I believe, by God to describe Tim's path. Picture Timothy Michael encountering Jesus Christ. Tired of endless boarding, not knowing which way to go, I collapsed on a street called Mercy. I was found in you, throwing your arms around me. You held me like I was yours, like you'd been there the whole time waiting. I was found in you.
You are all I want. You are all I need. Every breath I take is a breath to say I am yours now forever. You are all I want. You are all I need. Every breath I take is a breath to say I'm yours now forever.
Wrapped up in scarlet kindness, you welcome the sinner home. Now I breathe in the air of heaven. All I want is you. Keep me within your shadow. Lord, tether my heart to yours. I want nothing without your presence. All I want is you. You're all I want. You're all I need. Every breath I take is a breath to say I'm yours now forever. You're all I want. You're all I need. Every breath I take is a breath to say I'm yours now forever. A breath to say yours now forever. You are all I want. You are all I need.
breath I take is a breath to say, I am yours now forever. You're all I want. You're all I need. Every breath I take is a breath to say, I am yours now forever.
Should we just be thankful when life is good? How should we respond to tragedy?
Take this fainted heart, take these tainted
Well, everybody, if I haven't met you, my name is Taylor, and I'm the lead pastor here, and I've got the privilege of speaking to you guys for a few moments before we transition to the reception. And Rich and Melissa, earlier on this week, they asked me to actually, in fact, come and share the good news of Jesus with you guys today. So I've got the great honor of doing that, and I was thinking about that, Rich, as you were up here, and I think you just did that brilliantly. I think the fact that the father of Tim can come up here and sing in this moment, "You are all I want, you are all I need. Every breath I take, I say now I am yours forever." I think that if anything testifies to the goodness and the reality of God in a moment like this, we all just witnessed it right there. But nevertheless, I recognize in this room right now we have people that are all over the map as far as the grieving cycle is concerned, and I want to speak to that for a second. We have people in this room right now watching online, friends and family gathering with us there. You're in shock still. This is still the reality of the news that has recently hit you about Tim's loss. It hasn't fully come and hit you yet. You haven't fully recognized the reality of this moment. You're in a place of shock. Some of us are in a place of total despair, of hopelessness. Some of us are experiencing right now in this moment incredible measures of anger and of rage. Some of us in this room are feeling overwhelmed right now as the reality of this loss, the numb and the shock of it is beginning to wear off. And in moments like this, the world around us has nothing, absolutely nothing to offer us. They say, it says something, the narrative goes like this when we navigate through moments like this. Death is a natural part of life. It's normal. It's perfectly natural. It should be expected, but that's easy to say until we find ourselves in this room, isn't it? It's one thing to be able to say that when you exist outside the walls of this building that we find ourselves in. It's another thing to be able to say that when we're here. And of course, nobody is thinking that right now. When you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death, you lose a family member, you lose a loved one, a son, a friend, a brother, a nephew, a co-shredder, as Tim has been notoriously spoken of here today already. When you witness firsthand the heartbreak and the tragedy and the complete devastation of death, all of a sudden it's not so normal. All of a sudden it's not so natural. Sitting in this room, friends and family, and those online again, you hate this. We all hate this. I love this family. I've had the privilege of growing up around this family. I hate this. We're all in that space. I hate that Rich and Melissa, Lucy and Emma are going through this again. This is an absolutely devastating and heartbreaking moment of loss. But here's the thing. If God doesn't exist, that's all death is. It's normal. It's naturally. There's nothing offensive about it. It just happens. It's just a normal part of the circle of life. It comes for us all, and there's no real reason to despair over it, because if God doesn't exist, we're all just recycled stardust with no ultimate meaning or purpose or ultimate significance and value. All of our lives are just a vapor. We are here for a moment and then completely gone and lost along the timeline of history and existence. So it really doesn't matter. And yet here we sit together today, and it really matters to us. Why? Why? Let me tell you why you hate death. Do you want to know why you hate death? Do you want to know why you hate this moment? God hates it. God hates death. And here's what I love so much about Jesus. We get the most compelling vision of God in John chapter 11, one of them. And there's actually a German philosopher named Baruch Spinoza who says, "I would gladly give away my whole system of thought to believe what is written in this chapter. The question is, what's so great? There's a moment in Jesus' life where, in the Gospel of John, which is one of the 4 accounts of the life and the ministry of the teaching of Jesus, where Jesus actually loses a friend. He's experiencing the pain that many of you who would identify as a friend of Tim are feeling right now. And the news hits Jesus. And so he does again what many of you have done. He goes to the tomb. He goes to the tomb to actually be with the family. And it says this in John 11, verse 32. Now when Mary, who was the sister of Lazarus, came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Jesus shows up to the tomb of Lazarus, and he's met with the sister of Lazarus, who is wailing. She is weeping. This is ugly crying. This isn't just a nice little tear, smear the makeup a little bit, dab it with the tissue type crying. This is ugly crying, and she is weeping, and Jesus shows up, and Mary is asking the same thing that is a question that's present in this room. Jesus, if you would have been here, this wouldn't have happened. If you would have showed up, this could be a completely different scenario. Why did you do this? Why did you allow this to happen? She's angry and she's frustrated. And you know what Jesus does right here? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. He does this in verse 33. We get Jesus' response to this moment of Lazarus' grieving sister. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. You want to know the first thing that Jesus does in moments like this? He enters into the weeping of the family. He enters into the weeping. He didn't open his mouth and say a bunch of stuff. He enters into the weeping. He enters into the pain. And in fact, that phrase that John uses to describe the emotional state of Jesus when he says that he was deeply moved in his spirit, that's literally a verb in the Greek where it's saying Jesus is letting his protective guard down, and he is voluntarily making the pain and the emotion and the heartbreak and the grief of the family his own. This is what Jesus is doing in this moment in John chapter 11 and here in this room right now. The greatest lie of these moments is, where is God? Do you want to know where God is? He's at the memorial. He's at the graveside. He's with the family. He's with those who are broken and crushed in spirit. This is who he is. But not just that. He doesn't just enter into the pain of those who experience loss, but it says also that Jesus was greatly troubled. That's another very strong emotional word, and it means that Jesus was angry. He wasn't just kind of like mildly upset. He was angry. This is the word described to use a very hostile and frustrated animal. Jesus it's like he's expressing that with he's angry at what he's seeing right in front of his eyes. Why is he angry? It's not because the people are weeping. He's not mad at them. He's not mad at the emotion that we experience when we navigate through moments like this. No, death was never a part of God's plan. Death is a result of human sin to reject God, who is the giver and who is the source of life. And when we separate ourselves from him, the giver and the source of life, we immediately begin to die. Humanity's rejection of God and his authority and his goodness in our life, choosing to carve our own path, is what brings in this great evil, this great enemy. This is why many of us in this room are wrestling with this idea of even now of, why did God do this? Why did he allow this? In John 11, we see the answer. God didn't do this. And in fact, his concern and what the person and the work of Jesus is all about is undoing this. And this is what Jesus is accomplishing for anyone who would receive that. So here's Jesus in John chapter 11. He's standing face to face with this great devastation of his good creation that he loves. He's angry. He hates it. He's feeling what many of us are right now. What's he saying? This shouldn't be. This ought not be. And the reality is, and what I'm so thankful for, is Jesus is still standing outside of tombs today. Standing with us here in this moment, saying the same thing. This ought not be. That's why it's perfectly normal, in fact, good to hate death, because God himself hates it. And scholars tell us that this moment in John chapter 11 is actually the moment that led very quickly to Jesus' own death. As he's becoming more resolute in this moment, this is why I've come. I have come to deal with this great evil. That's what the cross is all about. That's what he does on the cross. He dies on the cross for us and because of us and instead of us, because of his great love for us. It doesn't end there, though. God raises Jesus from the dead, breaking the power of death, and the garment of sin and pain and heartbreak and tears and death that every single one of us in this room are clothed with begins to be unwound. That's what Jesus is doing. In fact, here's the good news for you and I, even a moment like this, that Jesus, who loves you enough to do that, we get another picture of him actually in Revelation chapter 7. Which is a window into the throne room of heaven right now. This is a more real reality than anything we are experiencing right now, more eternal and more lasting than anything we are experiencing right now. And it says this in verses 15 through 17. Therefore they, speaking of redeemed humanity, speaking of those who have put their hope and their faith and their trust ultimately in Jesus, therefore they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will shelter them with his presence. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to springs of living water, and God himself will wipe away every tear from their eyes. You know what that's saying? At the center of the universe is a throne. And on the throne is a lamb. Listen, this is why we can get out of bed in the morning right now and face another day. When the reality of this loss hits you like a freight train, when the tsunami wave of grief comes and it completely overwhelms you. This is why you can face another day, is because the Jesus of John chapter 11, who's standing, who's weeping, who hates death, is the same Jesus of the cross, and he's the same Jesus of the resurrection, and he's the same Jesus who is the Lamb in Revelation chapter 7 that is on the throne. There is a king, and his name is Jesus, and he is soon to completely destroy even death itself for all who trust in him as Lord and Savior. And even on those days when you can't get out of bed, he's closer than your very breath. And he will carry you. David in Psalm 23 says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? What's the promise? For you are with me. Rich, Melissa, Lucy, and Emma, absolutely heartbroken that we're here right now. No family should have to go through this once, let alone as many times as you have. And just want to tell you again, I love you, and I'm with you, and you're in a room full of people, and that's their heart as well. I want to leave you all with this thought, because this is where this is all heading. It's an amazing passage in Revelation chapter 21, verses 3 and 4, and it says this: I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He himself, here's again the promise, will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. Here's the reality. That is on offer for every single person in this room, for every single person that's watching online right now. If you haven't given your life to Jesus, I want to let you know he is the only way to Revelation chapter 21. He's done all the hard work to get you there, and you just have to say yes. And again, I was with Rich and Melissa earlier this week, and they were talking about how when Kim and Denton passed away, Tim, actually, he had requested that John 3:16 be placed on their headstone. And Brian, I thought this was so fitting also with what you were saying so wonderfully, brother. It was wonderful. This is the track that Tim left for us, what they were telling me right here. John 3:16, this is what he requested be on their headstone. It says this, "For God so loved," not just loved in the sense of he tolerates your existence, he's far off and distant and doesn't really care about your life, so loves, the heart of a father. God so loves who? The world, you, me, fallen, broken humanity that has rejected him with all of our garbage, all of our hurt, all of our depression, anxiety, all of our issues, all of our sin. God so loved us that he gave Jesus. This idea of a gift. There's nothing that you could do to earn it. There's nothing that you could do to deserve it. So whoever believes in Jesus will not perish, but have everlasting life. Whoever believes, I love that, not tries hard, not focuses on religious do-goodism, which I think probably the majority of us in this room have been wounded by at some point or another. He wants all of you. Whoever believes in what Jesus has accomplished will have life everlasting. And not even just in the sense of you get it after you die, but the reality of Revelation 21 comes and it brings comfort now in a moment like this. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. We are going to enter into a time of reflection, of prayer. We've got one more song that we're going to play for you here, and I want to encourage you, just listen to the words. Let them wash over you. Remember Tim and the good, amazing, beautiful moments that you got to share with him. But if you're here today and you're saying, I want that, you're ready to give your life to Jesus, rededicate your life to Jesus, or you're here and you're just saying, man, I would love to pray with somebody. There's a lot of heartbreak in this room right now. I'm going to have a group of pastors actually in the back of our room, and we would love to pray with you any way that we can. We would love to introduce you to Jesus if you would like to surrender your life to Christ today. So I'm going to direct your attention to the screens, and let's listen and reflect through this last song.
My heart as storm clouds raging deep within. The Prince of Peace came bursting through the wind. The violent sky held its breath, and in your light I found rest. Tearing through the night, riding on the storm, staring down the fire, my eyes found yours, shining like the sun, striding through my fear. The Prince of Peace met me there. You heard my prayer. Hope like the sunlight piercing through the dark. The Prince of Peace came, broke into my heart. The violent cross, the empty grave, and in your light I found grace. Tearing through the night, riding on the storm, staring down the fire, my eyes found yours, shining like the sun, striding through my feet. The Prince of Peace met me there. Be still, my heart. I know that you are God. Oh, fear no evil, for I know you. I hear you.
I know that you are God, and you heard my